Hi there. So back in the day when I was working full time, I used to have this Korean dish almost every day. So spicy Korean pork is what I used to have, but we're having spicy Korean tofu. So I'm going to start by slicing up an onion, and we're going to kind of make the marinade, and I really should have got a bowl, so I'll get a bowl. All right, excellent. So we're going to make our marinade. I'm going to chop up our little onion. So one of the things with gochujang is there's lots of different varieties. So you can get a vegan one, you can get a gluten-free one. The one that I've got here today is both gluten-free and vegan, so that was a score. So I'm going to slice my onion up into batons. Try not to take any fingers off. And of course, with all my recipes, I like things a little bit spicy. So feel free to add less of the onions and less of the spiciness if that's what you like. So my sweetener of choice today is date molasses. So date molasses, I just found this in the supermarket. All it is just dates. There's nothing else added. So a big old tablespoon of that in there. And then maybe a clean spoon. What do you reckon? Let's get ourselves a clean spoon. Okay, for the gochujang, I'm going to do 2 heaped teaspoons. This is only going to be, 2 heaped, whatever that spoon is. So this is just going to be a serving for 1 or 2. I'm not getting too carried away. To that, let's pop a little pinch of salt. I'm going to do some extra Korean chili flakes. So that's gochugaru. That's what you use to marinate your kimchi in. That's optional. That gives it a bit more spice, but it also gives it a bit more red colouring. Next, let's chuck a little bit of garlic powder in there. And usually I would use mirin, but I don't have that. So I've got some Hosing wine. So good old splash of that in there. Some black pepper. And I'm going to put some sesame seeds in there. So I'm just going to put them into my hand first. So I've got about maybe just less than a tablespoon. And I'm just going to try and break them a little bit as I put them in. That wasn't overly successful. Probably should have used a mortar and pestle. But hey, live and let live. It's all good. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we are going to chop up the white of a spring onion. Or scallion, depending on where you're from, is what you'll call this one. We'll keep the rest of that green for a garnish. So into the marinade with that. And we are going to get carrot. So I'm always looking for ways to put more vegetables in my food. So I don't think traditionally this dish has carrot in it, but don't have to always be traditional if you want to be healthy. Alright, nice thin little batons. It'll take a while to chop these up into batons. Actually, I probably should have used my mandolin. That would have been good. Always forget my mandolin. I kind of went off using my mandolin for a while there because I got my knuckles in one time and freaked me out. It's like I had PSTD from mandolin use. So if you do use your mandolin, be safe. Alright, that's about 1/3 of a carrot. I think let's go a little bit more. because you can never have too many vegetables. Am I right? And because I loosely follow the starch solution, I always want there to be a high ratio of non-starchy vegetables. We probably won't get the right ratio in this recipe, but we're getting closer. Every bit of vegetable we put in, we get closer. So I'm going to leave it at that. So that can be our marinade. Now I probably want it to be a little bit more runny than that, so I'm going to put in some more roasting wine. Alright, yeah, that's a nice consistency. What do you reckon? Might give it a taste. Yum. Oh, yum. Brings back memories, that does. I think some mushroom powder actually might be good. Give it a depth of flavour with the mushroom powder. So this is just dried shirataki mushrooms that I've chucked in the food processor to make them really fine. So it makes it a powder that gives kind of a depth and body to all your cooking. So highly recommend that. I did have some garlic here somewhere. This garlic's been frozen, so we're going to go with the mash. Perfect. All right. Give that a little stir up. I actually feel like I even want a little bit more moisture, so I'm going to chuck in a little bit more moisture, but I feel like a bit too much wine has already gone in there, so coconut water. That should do the trick. It also might make it a little bit runny in the end, so we may have to thicken it up with a cornstarch slurry. But we are going to serve this on a bed of rice and some glass noodles, so they can soak up lots of moisture. Okay, let's just put your tofu. I think that's enough. Let's stackle them up. I didn't do the greatest job of getting them uniform, but doesn't matter. So I think we're going to go with that shape to kind of mimic the pork belly strips that I used to have. Really doesn't matter. So into the marinade that can go. And we're going to let that sit for about 5 minutes, not too long. There you go. So that's been sitting for about 5 minutes. I'm going to put a little bit of my tapioca starch. Tapioca starch, cornstarch, really doesn't matter. Just something that's got that really fine texture. Give that a stir. That has been sitting for about 5 minutes. Now I'm going to put that into a cold pan. You don't want to preheat your pan for the gochujang. You want it to come up to temperature slowly. Can you see that okay? And what we're going to do is we're just going to toss that around a bit as it's heating up. So what you want to do is you want to make the carrots tender, you want the onions to get tender, and you want that sauce to thicken up just a wee little bit. While we wait for that to happen, let's get started plating up. So I've got some rice that I've pre-cooked here. Rice into your bowl. I'm hoping you can see that. And then next to go into our bowl of rice is our potato noodles, which have gone a bit hard with sitting, but that's okay. They will soften up. Leave those in the water. All right, this is looking good. Ticking along. Oh, start to hear the sizzle. That's looking good. Let's break a few of those onions up. Now I think because it's going to take a little while to soften up and I don't want to lose any more moisture, I am going to pop in a little bit of water and then I'm going to put the lid on and let that sit for a little bit longer. Alright, so on with the lid, let that cook a little bit further and turn it up to let that happen. Got all my goodies waiting. So, these glass noodles are made out of sweet potato, so they are fairly low on the glycemic index in terms of noodles. Kind of a rubbery texture, they're nice, I like them. Okay, so that's been bubbling away for about 4 or 5 minutes. I did have to add some water at one stage. Look at that, starting to get a bit sticky on the bottom of the pan. Can you see that? That's not popping up. Okay. I think that is ready to plate up. I'm going to turn that off for a bit. All right, let's plate up. Get all of that yummy sauce on there. Smells good. I licked my fingers a little, I licked the spoon a minute ago. It's got some spice to it, that's for sure. Probably being a bit of a piggy there, not too much. All right, just make it pretty. Next, I'm going to just put in some garnish. A few extra sesame seeds on the top, do you think? Yeah. And there we